very good afternoon to you viewers. Welcome once again to In Perspective, a weekly program here on NTN and Channel 26, and also on Saturday evening, and also at LRTV on Sunday from 5 to 6. As I promised last week that I will have again former Minister of Agriculture, former Minister of Health, Dr. Leslie Ramsamy with me, because last week we have had we had some very important discussions and we were unable to open our telephone lines. Hopefully this evening we'll be having calls and later on in the program I will open our telephone lines so we can have an interaction, we can have discussion, you can share your view with Dr. Ramsamy, you can also raise issues of concern within your communities. Before I ask Dr. Ramsamy to make his contribution, I firstly want to say that today was another parliamentary outreach in New Amsterdam, and a number of people came to Freedom House to make representation and issues that are affecting them, mostly people with NIS problems. We are seeing now many benefits that NIS used to pay to workers around the country. These benefits are being put on hold, and they are now reviewing these benefits. So the People's Progressive Party, our representative across the country, especially in Region 5 and Region 6, Member of Parliament, we have a Member of Parliament, we have 3 Members of Parliament in Region 6, that is Mr. Adrian Anamaya, Dr. Vishwa Mahadev, myself. We have the Regional and Vice Chairman, and we have also the Party Supervisor in Region 5 and Region 6, and we have a number of activists around the country who can take your complaint and forward it to us. So that there is a serious problem with NIS issues and utilities concern, people that pay to GPL and GWI and things like that. So we have been continuing making these representation for people across the regions, and also the health sector. And I will ask you just now to talk about the health sector. Many basic drugs in the health sectors people are not receiving. As a matter of fact, today I went, two persons from Kanji came to see me. They say they went to the ophthalmology hospital and they were told that their surgery, cataract surgery, cannot be done. They have to go and do it privately. So all these issues are affecting people now. And you know for a fact that these health issues used to be looked after. And Dr. Ramsamy can tell you many times I will call him when we have serious health concern, and he normally intervene, and these people used to be treated and things like that. But this afternoon, viewers, I want to just recap what took place over the last week, and then I will ask Dr. Ramsamy to comment on some of the topical issues. And we have seen over the last week, the major issue we have seen that the government now, they continue their witch hunting. They have charged 2 senior officials in the last government, former Minister of Finance, Dr. Ashni Singh, and former CEO of NISIL, Mr. Winston Brassington. And I will ask Doc just now to comment on those things. But Doc, first of all, I want to bring the most topical issue, things that affect people directly in this country. Before we came out of government, we have seen almost 10 years of continued economic growth in Guyana. When we had the financial crisis that was affecting the world, Guyana was able to get and achieve economic growth. Over the last 3 years, as a matter of fact, in 2015, we have seen the growth rate in our country start to dive. From 2015, the projection was 3.4%. Then when they get into government, they adjust it or revise it to 3.1%. And the actual that the country achieved was 3%. In 2016, they set the growth rate at 4.4%. They revised it in mid-year, and they say that they revised it to 4%. And then the actual achievement of the growth rate in that year was 2.6%. Last year, 2017, the growth rate projection in the minister's budget speech was 3.8%. He reviewed it in his midterm report again to 3.1%, and lo and behold, a few days ago, yesterday, it was announced that Guyana achieved its lowest growth rate in decades of 2.1%. So we have seen almost all the sectors going down, nosediving. As a former minister in the PPP civic government, I know you have played a very, very important role in not only the health sector and the agriculture sector, but other sectors in the government. Your whole take on this contracting of Guyana's growth rate?
The growth rate is extremely important. When a country grows, like India and China right now at 7 and 8%, you're able to provide better services to people. So utilities, health, education, building infrastructure, like schools and hospitals, roads, etc., are improved. People's wages go up. And so if there is no growth, these things will deteriorate and people's living standards will deteriorate. And so that's a simple explanation of why growth is important. Before the PPP took office in 1992, Guyana was in a period of negative growth. So each year before the PPP took over, the economy got a little smaller and smaller and smaller. Under the PPP, we have a record of consistent increases. In the first decade or so that the PPP was in power, we had growth rate of 6–7%. The only time we did not have a positive growth rate in the 23 years we were in office, you will recall in 2005 when we had a major storm in this country, bad weather. Another time we didn't was 1998–99 when we had the El Nino and we had drought. Even in 2008, when every single Caribbean country had a negative growth rate, and most of the South American countries around Guyana had a negative growth rate, Guyana stood out as a beacon among countries in the world of having a positive growth rate. In 2013, we had a 5.4% growth rate. Since the new government took over, as you said, we have been on a nosedive. What does that mean? And sometimes we don't pay attention, but when we left office, there was $820 million in the international reserve of the bank. Today, that is under $500 million. So
almost
$300 million disappeared. When we left office, we had $15.1 billion in gold reserve at the Bank of Guyana. Today, it is only $1.5 billion. $14 billion worth of gold have been sold out. When we left office, the international debt was $1.1 billion. Today, it stands at about $1.6 billion. So they have borrowed about $500 million in 3 years' time. They have spent out $300 million of the reserve and $14 billion of the gold reserve. And what have we got? We got 7,000 sugar workers unemployed. We got fishing boat owners having to leave their boat unused because fish has been banned. There's a report out today that about 40% of small businesses, the little shops and so on, restaurants and so are closing down. So if people's lives are being affected, their business, their income, their wages, health is going down, the education system has problems, people can't get simple medicine, but we have spent almost $1 billion more than what we budget for. What is going on in our country? And in addition to that, they now want to borrow close to another $1 billion US, so that they are mortgaging our future. They are putting us back where we were in 1992 as one of the most highly indebted countries on earth. And so that's what today's news, why today's news is so alarming, that our growth rate is plunging, and plunging faster than anyone could have imagined. So I would hope that our people all begin to recognize the importance, because whilst you may feel it in the ways I have talked about, it will get worse. And that's not what we want for our country. And certainly the people who voted in 2015 for a change, that was their democratic right. But I am absolutely certain that they didn't vote to see the economic stagnation that has come about right now. And the growth rate is proving it. So this is not the PPP saying it. This is the government itself saying that in spite of what they're doing, the growth rate is plunging, and the IMF is warning them that Guyana is set for another period of impoverishment.
Doc, you mentioned just now about 7,000 sugar workers now are on the breadline. They're looking for a job. They were dismissed. Even as we are speaking here, many of those workers have not received their severance payment as yet, which is enshrined in our labor laws, in the constitution of our country, that as long as somebody works with you, you have to pay them for their services. That one. Secondly, we have seen that this government has lost the lucrative rice market in Venezuela that you all went. I know for a fact you went many times to Venezuela. And then we have seen now that the only bright spot in Guyana was the gold production, and we have seen a decline in gold. We have seen a decline in construction. We have seen a decline in the timber sector. So all these sectors that used to be contributed to Guyana's GDP, to Guyana bringing revenue into the country, we are seeing a decline. What is your view, seeing that all these sectors are contracting? For example, last year, only 137,000 tons of sugar was produced by the Guyana Sugar Corporation. And we have seen that when the government went to the when the APNU AFC went to the last elections campaign, they went with these things: increased production, better living standards for the Guyanese people, and the whole mantra was about corruption. And we will talk about corruption a little later in this discussion. But why do you feel that all these sectors are contracting?
Well, mismanagement for one. Vindictiveness for the another, because if you think of the one bright spot, it is rice. But the production in the rice industry has nothing to do with this government. It is the commitment and the dedication of the stakeholders, the rice farmers, the rice millers, etc., who've been going out to look for market, and we need to congratulate them. And what have this government done for the one thing that is keeping the economy still in a positive direction? The rice farmers are now faced with increased lease payments, increased drainage and irrigation payment. More than 1,000 farmers are faced with losing their land in West Berbice right now.
The MME.
In the MME. In hope, the cash crop farmers and other farmers they've already been thrown out, many of them, and Anil Nandalal is representing them in court, because the government arbitrarily increased their lease payments 3 times. So they're making it unaffordable for farmers. So instead of seeing that rice is doing well, let's work with the farmers, let us support them, they are penalizing them. And so if you want to know why the other sectors are contracting, it's because you have a government that is anti-development. They are not friendly towards development. And we are talking about the industry as it is that way. There are little things. In this past week, I've sat with Barjack there at Freedom House and at the leader of the opposition office and meeting people. There are pig farmers, there are vendors, there are minibus drivers, all of them affected some way or the other by new rules that this government is instituting. In a couple of weeks, people, even from Barbies, will be affected because they want to do parking meters in Georgetown. That would affect people. So that you have a government that don't seem to appreciate that their role is to make people's lives easier. Every single day, they make more rules, more regulations that impact on the ordinary people's lives. If it is not taxes, it's new rates that people have to pay for certain things. They do things that cause us to lose our trade routes. They do something that impact the lives of ordinary people, even children going to school. So that's the reason. It's an uncaring government. When we were in government, when difficulties arise, we were always looking how we could help people. When there was a flood, for example, you know we were there helping the farmers, giving them gasoline, helping them with pumping their farms out, giving seeds. There was something. And maybe we didn't do enough. But we were always there helping out. You know, and what you have right now is a government that provides no support and every day make your life a little bit more difficult. The NIS problem is not new. We had problems like those when we were in power. But we were always trying to help. Now what they have done is they've taken a problem that we had and they promised that they will solve it, fix it. They have now made it worse.
High-handed attitude.
Right. Did we have problems with people paying bills, water bills, electricity bills? The answer is yes. What they have done now, instead of fixing it, they have made it worse. And so that's the problem that we have in our country today. Sugar was beginning to have some problems when we were there, but we have begun to fix it. What they have done now is not even trying to fix it. They're closing it down. You know, and so this is the problem. And as we talk right now, guess what? About another 800 workers in the bauxite industry is faced with losing their jobs. So a government that came in because they said they'll create employment have created unemployment instead. You know, so that's the crux of the matter.
This leads me to one. We have seen the subsidies that the PPP civic government was giving to pensioners, water and electricity. We have seen the cash grant to school children. All those things were taken away from the pensioners, from the school children and things like that, because the government said they don't have funds and the treasury was depleted when we left government. You have just made the case, you have just said it. The reserve, the figures in the reserve just now are almost 300 million. That was and you meant you talk 500 and 800 million, that US dollars.
US dollars.
Right. Now, this leads me to where the government is saying that they don't have money. But you see now corruption now have been entrenched in government for the first time. This report that came out last month from the US State Department, the report named the International Narcotics Control Strategy Report, Volume 2. It was the first time that report mentioned in the history of this country about government's corruption. And we have seen, they went to the campaign, and you know that prior to the 2015 election, they say that the PPP government was corrupted, and they did, when they went in government, over 50 forensic audits. Millions of taxpayers' dollars were spent in those audits. They haven't unearthed any major things, but they went to the campaign with a promise to their supporters that a number of PPP ministers a number of high-ranking PPP officials were corrupt, and they, as soon as they get into government, they will bring these people and charge them. After they have conducted all those audits, and I will go back to the media, the junior finance minister said that those forensic audits, they don't get any evidence to take anyone to court. But they went and they made promises. Now we are seeing that the witch hunting continues. They brought charges against Mr. Brassington and Dr. Ashley Singh. And for me, those are trump-up charges, and I am optimistic, and I am sure that these charges will be dropped when the time comes. But just harassment. Your view on the those charges, because I've seen you have written a letter and an article on the issue. Your whole, because you was a cabinet colleague of Dr. Ashley Singh. You knew what was taking place in the cabinet and certain decisions. Before you comment also, because the charge is against misconduct in public office or something like that, we have to also look, when we get into government in 1992, how many assets of our country, assets, were given away. Things like the GTC, the Ghana Telephone Corporation, the Ghana Rice Marketing Board, the Ghana Timbers, and things like that, the rainforest, right? And it was resold back shortly after.
I'll just give one example. Demerara Woods was sold, which they spent $250 million US to set up. Was sold for £8.5 million.
Right.
And Lord Beaverbrook turned around and sold it for £62 million 2 months later. And a further month later, the new owners that bought it from Lord Beaverbrook sold it for £74 million. That is real misconduct.
Right.
And I can go on to many others, but I know we have to make a call. So if we come to the present, Ashley Singh, I'll just give one example. Many of you, when you travel on the East Coast Road towards Georgetown, would see by the university a cinema and mall going up. It's called Movie Town. But in Trinidad, there is a movie town. And those investors came to Guyana when we were in government. They wanted to invest. Before they came, we had put out in tender the sale of this land. The winner of that bid with the highest price was $150 million. When Movie Town came, we showed them a number of areas where Gift Mall is, this land that is by the front in Torkine, another piece of land by Providence. They chose this one and offered to pay us $185 million. That's about $35 million more than what we were getting in the tender and bidding process. So that's what they call misconduct, and don't want to go to the others. So let's compare to one example in this government, Durban Park. They decided to do this thing because the national park was no longer good for them.
Right.
They wanted their own thing by the Coffee Square. So they built the Durban Park structure for what they claim is $1.5 billion. But they can't account for it. When forced to give account, they now say that all the accounts have been lost. That is not just misconduct. That is fraudulent. It is misappropriation of funds. And we will be able to continue all night long as I give you examples from previous PNC days of misconduct, give you an example of what is happening now, and compare it to what they call misconduct when we were in government. Now, they can claim that they would have gotten more money, but that's not misconduct. So all they have found in this forensic audit is occasional procedural mistakes. But that's all. So the rice board people were charged, you know why? Not because of missing money. They concede the money is there. But that instead of this line where it should be accounted in, it should have been on this line. And that's why they're humiliating people. It's nothing more than vindictiveness, harassment, and intimidation. And the Guyanese people must put a stop to it.
That, you talk about the Durban Park. The Durban Park, that whole project, private company oversee that project.
Yes.
And this government took taxpayers' money and gave to a private company to complete that project. Then we had the $620 million in the health sector that was that they bought drugs without going to tender board and procurement rules.
And bought drugs that should have cost $190 million.
Right. So you have almost close to about $400 million that was overspent.
Yes.
On drugs. Then you had the 18 million US bonus that ExxonMobil gave them. After 1 year, then that was exposed. They hid it in a secret account, which this money was supposed to be in the consolidated fund. I saw news yesterday that this money now transferred into an overseas account, right?
Look, I'm talking to people out there.
Yeah.
You have your experience with your children. You know when they're lying to you, because the story is never the same. If you ask them 5 times, they will give you 5 different stories. That's this government story. Every time they open their mouth to talk about this 18 million US dollars signing bonus, it's a different story. First, they said that we were crazy, that there is no such thing as a signing bonus. They denied it. Even the president. When it was exposed that they got it, they denied that it was in a private secret account. We exposed them. Then they don't know where the money is, because one of them said it was transferred to the consolidated fund, another said it was spent to pay lawyers for the ICJ on the Venezuela case. Then Mr. Rambo Gaskin, who went through all the Bank of Guyana reports, couldn't find the $18 million in 2016 or in 2017. He raised it now because of pressure coming from different places, including the IMF. They concede it is not in the consolidated fund, it is not at the Bank of Guyana, it's in a foreign bank. Why all these lies? Yes. Is it because initially they stashed it away, hoping nobody will find out? And so Guyana's assets would have been transferred into private hands? There are names for these things. But this is total, absolute, unequivocal misconduct that somebody should go to jail for. And I'm not playing with words here. So when they talk about you sold something for $185 million, you should have got more money, it's misconduct, at least we could show what we did, all the money is there, how we used the money. Tell us about the $18 million, and why are you so secretive? Why are you lying every time you open your mouth? And that's the truth.
And I can remember in the 2015 budget debate, just same time we returned to the parliament, there were rumors that they will increase their salaries.
Yes.
And they denied it. As a matter of fact, Mr. Trackman, he stood up in the National Assembly and made a statement that this thing is nothing like that. They would not increase their salaries and things. And lo and behold, after the debate would have finished, there was an announcement that ministers' salary will increase to about 100% and retroactive to the time they got into office. So we see that. And then the issue with the health, in the health sector with the Durban Street bond issue, Bottom House. They rented it for
see the house opposite here?
Yes.
Where we are, so everybody who live in this region, just think about the house opposite MTN. It's a house similar to that in Georgetown that they are paying. If you haven't heard yet, just sit down strong here. $175 million annually. That's what it's costing them to rent a house that they call a warehouse. That is corruption. That is misconduct. So when Mr. Greenwich is going to the OAS meeting and says he's going to talk about corruption, when Mr. President is going to the Commonwealth meeting in London and says he's going to talk about corruption, gentlemen, stay home and address the issues. Because in no 3-year period in sovereign Guyana or in Guyana's history have we had so much corruption. So, and this includes the PNC days. Because what they have done in 3 years is unprecedented in Guyana. So you have a rapid plunging of the economy, a rapid plunging in the quality of services in this country, but a rapid propelment of corruption in our country. And people lying to us, look us in our eyes and lie. And I'm a very, I don't like cursing out people, and I'm not. I'm just telling the truth. I'm being blunt.
And today we are not seeing the likes of Nagamutu and Ramchetan coming to Borbies, because you remember they used to come here every single week on television in New Amsterdam. And
well, I heard one of them do come, excepting he's not coming to meet the people. He comes to have a good time.
Okay.
That's the one that happened to show up in Kanji and told the people that the government gave Armagon, Region 6 chairman, in his budget, money for buses. But anyways, that's...
so that's the issue, viewers. You are looking at a live program with me. It's Dr. Leslie Ramsamy. As I said last week, I made a promise that I will open our telephone lines. I'm about to do that. Call, let us be very civil. Let us don't get into personality. Let us deal with issue. And ask any question, make any contribution. You could also raise the issue of complaint in your communities, because as a matter of fact, we have our comrades them who are NDCs, chairman and councillor. We have been meeting with them regularly to go out to meet with the residents, to listen to their views, to discuss with them their programs and things like that. As a matter of fact, the General Secretary of our party, Comrade Jack Dale, he met with them sometime earlier this year, and he will be meeting again. And all the leaders of the party have been going around the country, meeting with our local comrades, meeting with these NDCs, the RDCs, to inform them and tell them that and reiterate the point of the party, that they should go out and meet with residents, listen to their views, and make the kind of representation for them. We know for a fact that many of you have issues in your community. You have an issue at the national level. Call in, feel free to raise issue, but let us be very civil here. And I see the lines are going. I will take the first call. Hello, good evening.
Hi, good night.
Good night. And where are you calling us from?
I'm sure.
I'm sure, okay.
Calling from Thailand today. The NDC working at Albion. Please let us pick up garden. And every weekend, my husband will try to turn the garden truck. When this last Sunday ran, because the guy was a high support, then leave my garden in the room. When I was pregnant last year, I ended up and got a payment $300 to pick me back from the road to turn it in the garden truck from front to back. You tell me if that is right.
No, that is not right.
And then when I come and call from the judge and ask him what happened, he said it was right.
Well, listen, I will raise this issue with the NDC chairman.
This is not the first time, this is 3 times. And I'm supposed to go into, I get 4 kids and I can't make it to go because I just send them to...
And that is which part in Hampshire?
Just around Russell Street.
Russell Street area, all right. Listen, I will raise this matter with the NDC chairman and ask him to correct it and speak to the workers.
I'd like to know if he has to pay them $300.
Oh, well, I will have to find out from the NDC chairman what's the policy of the NDC.
The next thing then get special house for them going, the people in yard and fresh out in garbage. I wouldn't want to know. And find out because they have picture on the phone to prove it.
All right, listen. I will raise, as I said, I will raise it with our chairman there, And I will ask you. Well, I'll call him just after this program. I'm sure he's looking at this program, Mr. Yusuf. And I know he will try to address the issue, but I'll call him just after this program, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Well, that there is it, you know. The garbage collectors, they're probably passing the garbage on the road and not picking it up and so on. These things, small things, affect people's lives.
And we have to address it.
Right.
And that's why I'm glad that people are calling in and making their feelings known.
Right. Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
And where are you calling us from?
From
Just say, okay.
Well, I can't just make a couple of complaints now. We got a problem in here, like people forget the screen because the street is now upgrading. They got a lot of places in the area. Well, some of the places where people land, but then they got a playground, they got the apart. And
Yes, hello. Seems we have lost that call, right? But I will talk to the mayor there, number 76. I know for a fact that some of these housing scheme, they are not handed over yet to the NDC or our municipalities. But I'll ask them because many of our people are living there and they need some form of help. So I'll ask the mayor, Mr. Chen Jai Chen, if you could give them some assistance in that area. Hello, good evening.
good night.
Good night. And where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Albion.
As well, okay. Albion, okay.
Yeah, Mr. Josie.
Yes.
What is the name you calling from Albion? You know, things from go to sleep, you never come into the area in Albion. Right now, I don't have a drain at the back here.
Which part are you talking? Behind Mr. Permal?
No, behind the cinema.
Oh, behind the cinema. Okay, yes, I know the person now. In front of the Albion complex there.
Yes, I thought I was near the green there.
Yeah, okay.
And then I come to the drain.
Alright, I will raise it with the chairman because I know, let me tell you, I know that this chairman is a little proactive. I just talked to him. When I raise the issue of complaint, he just tried to get it resolved.
Okay.
So I'll ask him to come in there and hold a meeting with the residents there, and I'll try to see if I could come too. As a matter of fact, Dr. Ramsam will be out, so I could ask him to visit the area because he normally go in different part of those communities.
Yes, I know.
And you know I was there a couple of days ago.
So it seems that a number of our NDCs, they will have to go out and meet with the people, listen to their view. As a matter of fact, we have been talking to them and telling them these things. Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Where are you calling us from? Tom.
Well, I have a complaint that I live in a prison and the hospital is and completely have the stay and waiting for the whole last time we are beautiful flowers and a good silver complaint stay and this making to be uncarry for the day we are not to pass and make the day we are not to do. I went to the plant CSO and the CSO people were saying to take in the police and so I knew what happened to make 2,000 now I can have a good experience in the law confusion and kind of making properly from me. I want to go and save the place, divide the land and also the thing, so I just get it. If you want to collect something like the end then later I'm working for what would happen.
Okay, so Mr. Anamai is dealing with this matter.
Yes, sir, it's a long time.
Alright, I will talk to Mr. Anamai, right? I will ask him.
I will put down his time to the property. And having no proper pay until now.
Alright, let me talk to him, right? You know you can make back contact with me, right?
Yes, sir.
So I will try to talk to him and try to see how if I can get back a message on to you, right?
Okay, welcome.
Thanks. There are a number of issue people are, having. Hello, good evening.
Oh, good evening.
Good evening. Where are you calling us from?
Calling from Bath.
Bath, okay.
So, just in a nutshell, it's a little bit long story. We four parents came from India, right? We persevere and become better in this country. The English school was something us here.
Speak up a little, right?
Yeah. Now, in 1964, we were slaughtered in Linden. Linden, Mackenzie, Risma, Christianborg. In 28 years of born and rule, we suffer. Now, in 2011 election,
two rice and fool us that they will give us 6,000 dollars a bag for paddy and this and that and that.
6,000 to 9,000, right?
Yes, and what I want to say, history will always repeat itself on Indian people. Thank you.
All right, I think not just because this is not about race.
Right. As I said before in the introduction, rice is the only bright spot for this government. And it has nothing to do with them. In fact, they're working against rice. It has to do with our rice farmers, our millers, and so on, really, really working diligently. In 2015, our target was 700,000 tons of rice. We achieved in the first crop, that's by end of May, 393,000. So we surpassed the target. And so all we had to do in the second crop was 305,000. We did not meet the target. And since then we have been around 600,000. So and that's because the rice farmers, in spite of all the difficulties, kept at work. And right now, this first crop, you've had a really good crop. I expect that they would have had more than 350,000 tons. So if everything goes right, we can finally reach the 700,000 tons that we could have reached. And remember, in 2014, we produced 693,000 tons.
Doc, I will ask you, let us take this call. I got a question to ask you in this race. Hello, good evening.
Good night. You're all doing a good job.
Okay, thank you.
I have a problem. I live in the Portuguese Quarter, right? And somebody come and put up a building, one little shop in front of me. And I call him a local authority, Portman, nobody did nothing. They call him Mr. Armagan, nobody did nothing.
Okay. So you say you spoke to both the RDC and the NDC?
Yes.
All right, but I don't want to take your number publicly on the television, but just a call after this program on the same number. We'll take your number, I will talk to these comrades and try to get on back to you, right?
Okay, all right.
Good, thanks. Doc, what I was asking you, you talk about the rice sector and you said that if they achieve this target, it will be good. But unlike you, I know I just get you to go any part of this region, any part of the country even, but today, the Minister of Agriculture is abdicating his responsibility. We have seen in the sugar industry, he's saying that that is not his responsibility. Jordan is saying that is not his responsibility. We see the confusion with the board, two chairmen, and cabinet is saying this, Clive Thomas is the chairman. The guy from Nisil, he's saying he's the chairman. This confusion going on, and probably these people don't know their portfolios.
And the confusion is in rice also.
And rice.
Because we have a minister who has declared, and nobody in his government have withdrawn that statement, that rice is private sector. We have nothing to do with rice. But every time you do good rice farmers, the government wants to take credit. And yet they say it's not their business. So whilst rice is a bright spot, we also have problems. Problems like payment of the farmers. So in many parts of the country, farmers are still owed. There is an issue right now where farmers have not been paid because the millers have not been paid for the Panama rice that went in 2016. And when I was the one who signed that deal. It was government to government. So we bought the rice from the millers and we sold it to Panama. And we paid whether Panama paid us up front or not. We waited for Panama to pay, but we paid to the millers and so the rice farmers could get payment. That was a kind of proactive effort that brought ease whenever there was payment issues. Those are no longer there. The government does not step in to help when payment issues are, so that there are millions right now that are owed to farmers across Guyana because unlike our time, the government has decided that this is between farmers and millers. It's a private matter and they have nothing to do. Well, that is not how government works. Government is supposed to play a facilitating, supporting role. Mr. Holder is a decent man. Mr. Holder is just not a Minister of Agriculture.
He's not Minister Material. Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
And where are you calling us from?
Number 9 village.
Number 9?
Number 9 village.
Number 9, okay.
We get an NDC, right by the NDC. Get a dump site right by the next dam by the NDC.
Okay.
The man sizes this dump site to a private contractor. And I carry garbage from the whole of body and throw them a battery. Now the dam done and they get a little bad. And I think the garbage is rather can't throw them in there. You get one big road front, then drive them back with the whole lines right for them. But just no one can follow me.
So you all report this matter to the NDC?
This matter we report to the every Saturday beginning of one time a month, I've reported. Nobody. When they heard them come, they measure them, I check them again. After they did the now, don't call but come across from the road. Road wash it, then give a contract to them, they run out, they will go in the back. They have a whole big hole in it. All them matter that big zero you put in.
Okay. Well, listen, I'm going to raise this matter. You know, normally I just come to number 63 every fortnight, right?
Yes.
Now, I would not be this Saturday coming because I go into Morocco. We have some Region 5. We have some parties, activities there. But the following week, I will be at number 63. I will raise this matter with the NDC chairman. And I will also see if you could come to the 63 party office and we can talk there, right?
Okay. No, but you know, no one see if I can do anything with this dump site down, man.
No, I will raise it with the NDC chairman. I am saying I will ask him to come and reach to you all there.
Okay.
Right? You know the NDC chairman?
Yeah, who the chairman? Smiley for 62.
Right.
If you work with the NDC, we need to drive the NDC track and then I pick up garbage.
All right. I will talk to him, right?
Okay, then, yeah.
Okay, yeah. This small NDC issue, there are a lot of irritants within these NDC, and I think that our chairman, they are being encouraged to go and meet with the residents and the councillors. As a matter of fact, we got councillors for the various constituencies, and those councillors that came from the constituency were supposed to go and service, meet with the people, and bring back these report to the NDC. So we'll be meeting with them again. Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
And where are you calling us from?
Port Morant.
Port Morant, okay.
I just want to make a complaint about what I witnessed this morning.
Yes.
I was going to Sterling, and I was traveling in a car, and this car made a turn, and suddenly this traffic police appeared, and they approached the driver. So he asked her to show him his license, and the driver did so. Then he said, "Come to the station." So the driver coming by the car and was going to the station, so I asked him, why is he taking me to the station? He said, he don't know. So he said, you're not taking me to the station. So when he realized, he said that the driver didn't have on his seatbelt. So then, and I saw the driver had on his seatbelt. So he told the man into the station, apparently he wanted the man to give him money. So the man did not do so. So he told him to charge him and put him in the court. So the driver asked him, I'm asking you something that you told me that you charged me for the seatbelt, but I had on my seatbelt. He said, you know what he saw. So, and how you write the charge, and he's going to take him to the court for not having seatbelt. Where is the driver was having his seatbelt on? So now, he told the driver that the judge or the magistrate or whoever it is going to be on his side, going to take his word for granted, not the driver.
And where this incident took place?
Skelden.
Skelden. Okay, the driver is from Skelden too?
71.
71.
Yeah.
Okay, you know the driver?
Not really.
But because if the driver is listening to this program, can the driver visit our MP at Skelden, Mr. Adrian Anamaya?
Okay.
And he's a lawyer, he could advise him, because many times people complain about police traffic ranks on the road and the harassment they are faced with. If you can make contact back with the driver, kindly advise him to visit our MP at Skelden, Mr. Adrian Anamaya.
And then I tried to talk to him so that this driver did have everything that you were sensing, maybe in a secretary. So what you said, ma'am? I said nothing, I did not talk to you.
All right. Hope the driver is listening to this program. If he's listening, I'm advising him to visit our lawyer at Skell and Mr. Anamai, right?
Okay.
Good, thanks.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Doc, and you know, this thing is that, as you rightly said, that things like this, the Minister of Public Security, Mr. Ramjatan, who used to come and go to all the order line 4 o'clock in the morning, he should come and meet with people and listen to their concern about police problems.
And if he doesn't want to listen to the people's concern, he should listen to his friend, Mr. Charandas.
Yes, right. Hello?
Good night.
All right, good night. Where are you calling us from?
Belvedere.
Belvedere, okay.
I just called to find out, with regards to the CCJ ruling on the .com.
Okay, I'll ask Doc to talk about it.
One second.
Pardon me?
If the Tribal Court of Justice rules against the short term, he will the party put to be the presidential candidate.
Okay.
That's one. Two, I have a lot of friends who are members of the PNC, and they told me, I mean, we are friends, and they confided in me that no way the PNC will allow the PPP to win the next election.
What do you mean if you said they will rig the election?
That's right. If push from the shove, at all costs, they will rig the election. What plans the PPP get to counter-attack that?
Okay, thanks for the two questions, right? Two very important questions. I'll ask Doctor responding to those.
The Caribbean Court of Justice has heard the case. So it's now a matter of making a decision. We all have to be hopeful that it is positive. And Barjatdale would be eligible to be the PPP's candidate for presidency. Whilst Barjatdale is extremely popular and everyone would assume he's the candidate, the PPP has a long history of having young leaders, and the PPP have a process by which a leader is chosen. I have no doubt that should the court decided that Barjatdale is a presidential candidate, that he will have absolute support also in the rank and file of the PPP, and I fully expect that he would be the chosen candidate. A lot of people, like this scholar, have no problem with what I've just said, but they are wondering what if the court decide against him. The same process. There are other candidates. There are, I don't want to call names, but there are several. I've known that newspapers are speculating, and this past week 3 people were mentioned, but there are a long list of other leaders in the party, some that have served in the cabinet and parliament in the past, and others that played other roles. So we will see how that plays out. In terms...
Just before you go on that, you're right. In 1997, when Comrade died, we saw the process in the 1997 election, December. Comrade Janet was chosen by the party. And then after Comrade Janet would have resigned in 1999, Barjatdale, who was the vice president.
And at a time when people were asking who can run, and look what the party produced. A Barjatdale that has become a world-renowned leader. So we have to have faith in a process, because if a party could produce people like Cherry Jagan and Janet Jagan and Barjatdale, it's a party that can continuously, consistently provide the kind of leaders to run our country. There was a second important question, and that is the possibility of rigging. Comrades, all sisters and brothers, don't be under any illusion. They are going to try to rig this election. We just have to be sure that we are ready to stop them. Now, we have done this before. In 1992, they clearly wanted to and tried to rig the election. We succeeded. But we cannot succeed as a party alone. We will do our work. Part of the 1992 process have to be repeated now. The international work we did to gain friends from abroad. We are doing that work right now. You know that I am working at another level, and that's part of the work I'm doing. And we are lucky to have a Bar Jagdale who has such huge influence internationally, not only in government, but in organization. Locally, we have to do some work. The list will be important. That is one of the important elements of their rigging in the past. They will try again. But I grew up in this neighborhood, and all of you know that in previous election from 92 and so, we could check that list overnight. But we can't do like we did in some of the other elections recently, where our comrades locally were not as insistent on making sure the list is clean. We have to work internally. One of the important things are strong people. You'll remember the traditional PPP people in the polling station. They could have brought their guns with them and threatened these people. They are not moving. And that's the kind of people we need in the polling booths and so on. So there are a number of things. I don't want to go through the details. This past week at Freedom House, when I was there were many training being done with young people. People who we are preparing. The election is supposed to be 2020, but by next year we want to have a cadre of workers that will be ready for this election. So yes, they will try, but you shouldn't delude yourself and you shouldn't give up that we can't stop them. We can stop them if we work together, the citizens and the party together.
Doc, I see the operator is signaling me that our time is, we have about very few minutes remaining. I will take one last call, and then I will ask Dr. Ramsamy to sum up. Hello, good evening. Hello. You mentioned about the list, and also right now we have the list, the 2018 list that we received from GCOM is out. The list is out in the field. And as you rightly mentioned, not only the party activists should be going house to house. It should be everyone's responsibility to ensure that their relative, their friends, their neighbors, and also help the activists of the party and get this thing correct. Because election is not for only an election day. Election is a process, right? A process, and we have to set the groundwork now to ensure, as the caller rightly said, that they will try to rig the election. And you mentioned that we had a number of training and we have started our election preparation already.
Yes, if we do the work now, they can't steal the election on election day.
Hello, good evening. Hello. Doc, it seems that we have lost two calls. I want to say that we have received a number of calls from various parts of the region, even in Region 5. And it seems that people are, you see the kind of issues they have raised. They have local issues, they have national issues, they have concern with the country, how it's going, in terms of people looking at the future with this government in training. They are now looking that they might want to rig the election. Recently, only a few weeks back, it was discovered at Springlands, someone had fake ID cards. I saw today the Ghana Elections Commission put out a statement on it. We put out a statement about 2 weeks back, and we are calling on the police to launch a thorough investigation into this. This might be the tip of the iceberg. You understand?
But and that's a good example, because for those persons who think we can't stop them from rigging, here is a good example that we have discovered a fake ID and we got GCOM to confirm that it's a fake ID. Hard work. We are used to hard work. And we just need people to believe and people to work with us, because if we do, we will be able to stop them. I'm positive that in 2020, with a united people, we can in fact stop them. And if you would permit me 30 seconds, Zulfi.
Just one thing, let me take this last call, because I promised the last call. Hello, good evening. Hello? We have lost that call.
Well, you know, in a few days, on April 27, we will be celebrating the 65th anniversary of the PPP's victory at the first universal adult suffrage election. That's 1953. And that was possible because the people united behind Cheddi Jagan and the PPP. So I want us to use this occasion to commit and reaffirm our support behind the PPP and be united. All of our people, no matter what our past political affiliation was, no matter who we voted for, no matter what race and religion we are, because it's our country at stake. And if people could lie to us about our money, the money that we got for oil, and they are desperately trying to hide it from us, we need to ask ourselves, are these the people we will allow to continue in our country? If we start working now together, in 2020, we will take back our country and put back our country on a trajectory of development. God bless.
Doc, let me thank you very much. Viewers out there, let me thank you very much for having us in your living room. As I know for a fact that Dr. Ramsamy, he traveled from North America to Guyana. As a matter of fact, he will be coming back to Guyana very shortly. He'll be leaving us next week, going to do some work, and he's doing a lot of work for us in North America and other parts of the world. Your relative, if you have relatives in the United States and they need help, they need in terms of know what is taking place, they want the party to assist. Dr. Ramsamy is in the United States. He's based there. As a matter of fact, I had a discussion earlier this week with the General Secretary, and I know he will be going with him to meet these international bodies to lobby for Guyana's, people looking at Guyana's case in terms of free and fair elections. So he has a very important role to play. And over the last few weeks he was here, he and I worked very closely at Freedom House. We had a number of discussion issues that we have to deal with for the Guyana Elections Commission. So let me thank you very much, Doc. Let me thank you very much, and I hope that you'll be back in Guyana shortly and we will continue this program. Viewers, let me wish you a very good evening. Let me wish you a good week ahead. Until next week, so long.